Hey listener, welcome back to the blueprint and the mystery. We all try to manifest things, right? We think positively, maybe set intentions, but pretty often the results don't quite match the effort, does it? Last time, we started unpacking some pretty potent ideas and we took a really fascinating journey, didn't we, into the Hermetic Principle of Mentalism, and we connected that to Napoleon Hill's really powerful concept of desire, basically setting up the stage for your thoughts. They aren't just random noise, they're kind of the architects of your reality, and having a burning desire, that's step one, the beginning.
Exactly. And today we're building right on that foundation. We're taking that whole idea of mental creation, well, to a whole new level, a, dare I say, vibrational level. We're grabbing that thread and asking, okay, how does this internal stuff, thoughts, desires, beliefs, how does it actually, connect with the physical world, the tangible stuff around us? We're going to explore how your deepest beliefs, the stuff you really think they're true, aren't just abstract ideas floating around. They create a literal vibration within. We'll dig into what that even means, scientifically.
So, yeah, get ready to maybe rethink your inner monologue because apparently it's not just background noise, it's quite the broadcast. Okay, let's try and unpack this cosmic dance floor idea, the Kybalion. It hits us right away, doesn't it, with its third Hermetic principle. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. So, according to this ancient wisdom, everything, and I mean everything, it's all a vibe. From the tiniest subatomic particle you can barely even picture to the biggest galaxy spinning out there, it's all just constantly moving, a giant universal hum. Who knew the cosmos was just one, like continuous low-frequency rave?
Indeed. And what's really remarkable is how this principle, stated thousands of years ago, finds such strong echoes in modern science. When we talk about everything vibrating, we're not just being metaphorical here. Take quantum mechanics, for instance. When we see wave-particle duality all the time, particles acting like waves and like particles. And even at absolute zero, the coldest possible temperature where you'd think things stop, there's still something called zero-point energy. It's like a fundamental jiggle, it's always there. The universe's baseline hum that, well, it never really goes silent.
A jiggle. Okay, so even when things look totally still, they're actually buzzing. That's quite a thought.
Precisely. And more recent stuff like attosecond spectroscopy. It lets scientists basically watch molecules vibrating with incredible precision. It's like having this ultra-high-speed camera for molecules, showing them constantly, jiggling. In solid-state physics, you have atoms and lattices vibrating, passing energy along in these packets called phonons, like tiny sound waves in a crystal. And even on the biggest scale, cosmology talks about universal vibrations. Things like the acoustic oscillations in the cosmic microwave background, leftover echoes from the Big Bang. The universe truly is in constant dynamic motion. It's not static at all.
Okay, so if that's the physical reality, then our thoughts and emotions, those things that feel so intangible just in our heads, are they not just fleeting feelings then? According to the Hermetic teachings, are they also actual, maybe even measurable vibrations? Like, is my slightly grumpy mood this morning physically resonating out there, attracting more grumpy stuff? Please say no.
Well, according to the Hermetic teachings, yes. That's the idea. They assert that all manifestations, thought, emotion, reason, will, desire, they all come with corresponding vibrations. And here's where it gets really interesting. The text insists that everything, matter, energy, mind, spirit, the whole shebang, it's all in constant motion, constant vibration. So the difference between a rock and, say, a thought, it's just the speed, the rate of vibration. The higher vibration, the higher up the scale you go. Spirit apparently vibrates so incredibly fast, so intensely, it actually looks totally still like a fan blade spinning really fast. And then the really dense stuff, gross forms of matter vibrate so slowly, it also seems motionless. It's all about the frequency. And what's really wild is how this ancient idea, this vibratory universe, well, it doesn't sound so out there when you look at modern science.
So my brain isn't just this, mushy organ. It's actually a highly sophisticated radio tower, maybe a bit chaotic sometimes, but still broadcasting, sending out my deepest thoughts and feelings into the ether. And the universe is just tuned in, listening intently. Suddenly, curating my inner playlist feels less like a self-help tip and more like a cosmic requirement. Great. Okay, so if everything vibrates, what about our beliefs? Because Napoleon Hill spends whole chapters on this, especially faith. He insists that to really get what you desire, you need a state of mind that's way beyond just hoping or wishing. It has to be absolute, unwavering belief. It's not enough to want it. You have to know it's already yours, right?
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how Hill connects this absolute belief directly to what he calls money consciousness. Though, really, the principle applies to any goal you're aiming for. He defines money consciousness as a mind so utterly saturated with the desire for money that you can actually see yourself already in possession of it. This isn't just like casual visualization. It's about cultivating this deep internal feeling that the outcome you want is already a done deal, and that's where the practical side of vibrating at a certain frequency really kicks in. You cultivate the internal vibration of having. Not just the vibration of wanting. There's a key difference there.
And he gives us the surprisingly detailed action plan for making that vibrational shift. It's almost like comically specific, but he's dead serious about it. You write down the exact amount of money, you set a time limit, you state what you'll give in return, you outline your plan. Check, check, check. But here's the real kicker, the part that hooks right into this vibration idea. Twice a day, you read this statement aloud, and while you're reading it, you have to, and this is his, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. It's not just mouthing the words, it's about the internal feeling, that emotionalized thought you're sending out. You're basically turning yourself into a walking, talking billboard for your future rich self.
And that specific practice, it leads directly into Hill's principle of autosuggestion. He defines it as the control panel, the agency through which you consciously influence your subconscious mind. Your subconscious, he argues, will only act on instructions that are, well, emotionalized, given with real feeling. So, faith in this context isn't just some vague spiritual idea, it's the strongest, most productive emotion you can use to impress your subconscious. It's that absolute conviction that translates directly into a tangible mental vibration. Hill really hammers home that the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between something that actually happened and something you vividly imagine and feel deeply.
And he even gives us that rather grim example, doesn't he? Joseph Grant, the bank official who, according to Hill, basically committed mental suicide because his thoughts about disgrace were so packed with fear, so emotionalized that his subconscious just, well, got to work making that disgrace real. Yikes! Who knew self-help could be so intense? It really puts a new spin on manifesting, doesn't it? It's not just for attracting puppies and parking spots, it's always on for better or worse.
Well, if we connect that back to the bigger picture, the idea that your thought impulses, the ones with feeling behind them, immediately start translating into physical reality, whether they're constructive or destructive. It would seem it just takes orders literally. It works with whatever you feed it most consistently. Feed it with fear and doubt, and it'll get busy delivering that. Feed it courage and faith, and it'll work just as hard on bringing that about. It's like an engine, but you're the one choosing the fuel. A non-judgmental engine running on the dominant vibrations you provide.
And the Kybalion gives us this deceptively simple key to actually do that. Will directs the attention, and attention changes the vibration. What? So if you're stuck in, negative spiral, fear, doubt, whatever, the Kybalion says you don't need to, and I quote, shovel out or sweep out the darkness. Bit dramatic. You just open the shutters and let in the light, huh? Like, no need for heavy mental lifting, just redirect your focus. Sounds almost too easy, which maybe makes it hard to actually do.
Exactly. To effectively neutralize or destroy an undesirable mental vibration, you concentrate on a desirable one. Hill talks about this constantly when he discusses mind control. And he means self-discipline, not, manipulating others. He points to figures like Henry Ford. He says Ford succeeded because, quote, Ford has a mind and controls it. The others have minds which they do not try to control. It's about deliberate self-discipline, constantly keeping your mind busy with a definite purpose.
Okay, so if you want riches, you don't just daydream, you actively cultivate money consciousness by feeling rich already. If you want courage, you intensely focus on the feeling of courage instead of trying to wrestle your fear into submission. It's sort of like telling your brain, hey, stop playing that sad woe is me track on repeat. Let's switch to the I'm already a millionaire anthem full blast right now. You're not just ignoring the bad stuff, you're actively flooding the zone with the good stuff. Sounds like a full-time job for your attention span. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about validating these vibrations with actual, science. Because while the Kybalion and Hill's ideas are really compelling, the scientific research actually echoes this idea that everything vibrates at a different frequency. Can you give us the lowdown on that without making my brain vibrate at a frequency of pure confusion? Keep it simple-ish.
Absolutely, I'll try. The scientific understanding of vibration really does cut across multiple fields like we touched on. You've got the subatomic world with quantum particles doing their wave particle thing. Then at the molecular level, scientists can literally watch molecules jiggle using that attosecond spectroscopy. It's pretty amazing stuff. And at the larger scale, in solid materials, atoms aren't just sitting still in their lattices. They're constantly vibrating, passing energy along as those phonons we mentioned. Even in us and biological systems, proteins vibrate at terahertz frequencies, and that's crucial for how they work. And of course, our own brain activity involves complex neural electrical oscillations, brain waves that clearly correspond to different mental states, gamma waves, theta waves, alpha waves, all that stuff, huh? We can measure those. So yeah, that ancient Hermetic idea that everything vibrates, it actually lines up remarkably well with what modern science observes across many different scales.
Okay, so constant motion, underlying buzz everywhere. Got it. But what about us? Us mere mortals, those of us who are mostly just squishy bags of water. How do we fit into this grand vibrational symphony?
Right. The human body is, on average, somewhere between 55% and 60% water. That's a significant chunk. And water molecules themselves, they have a specific vibrational frequency around 3 terahertz or T-hertz. So this inherent vibrational property of water, which makes up most of us, sets the stage for some really thought-provoking ideas when we start layering on the power of our thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, which leads us directly to the work of Masaru Emoto. Fascinating stuff, but also, let's be honest, pretty controversial. He proposed that human consciousness, our thoughts, emotions, intentions, could literally influence the molecular structure of water. He'd expose water to different things, words like love or hate, different kinds of music, even prayers. Then he'd freeze the water and take pictures of the ice crystals that formed. It sounds like something out of a mystical self-help seminar maybe, but the photos he published, they showed really stark differences, pretty compelling images.
There were. Emoto's published findings, as you said, consistently showed this pattern. Water exposed to positive words, harmonious music, or what he termed benevolent intentions, tended to form beautiful, symmetrical, often hexagonal crystals. Very structured. Conversely, water exposed to negative words, harsh music, or hostile intentions resulted in crystals that were distorted, incomplete, or just looked, ugly or chaotic.
We absolutely have to acknowledge the scientific critiques here. They're significant and well-known. Concerns about methodology, lack of proper controls, potential for bias in selecting which crystals to photograph, and problems with others reproducing his results reliably. The mainstream scientific community has largely not accepted his work as rigorously proven science. We need to be clear about that, but if we can just momentarily park those methodological debates and just think about the implications of what he was suggesting. Especially for us, these squishy bags who are, like you said, mostly water.
Indeed. If even just conceptually our emotions and intentions could somehow influence water structure, and our bodies are predominantly water, it raises a really profound question, doesn't it? What does our internal monologue, a constant stream of thoughts, beliefs, anxieties, joys, the whole inner landscape, what does that mean for our own biological composition? It certainly suggests a compelling link, even if it's not fully buttoned down scientifically, between the mind, our beliefs, and maybe even our physical state right down to the cellular level. It's provocative.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, or maybe just cosmically awkward for me personally. If our bodies are mostly water, right, and water might be influenced by our thoughts and intentions, then our internal monologue is basically giving ourselves a constant personalized bath, isn't it? Talk about a wellness routine you didn't know you signed up for. It's almost like the universe, or maybe just our own biology, is whispering back. Be careful what you wish for because I'm listening, and I'm very, very literal. Right down to your H2O. Wow. Okay, so we've gone from this ancient Hermetic idea that everything vibrates to Napoleon Hill, insisting that your beliefs, especially when you pack them with emotion and faith, are like direct commands to your subconscious. And then we veered into this really intriguing, if scientifically debated, idea that even the water making up most of us might be responding to those very intentions.
Yeah, this deep dive, I think, really reveals this consistent, powerful thread. It runs through ancient philosophy, early 20th century self-mastery, to recent scientific research. And that thread is the profound power of your internal state, your thoughts and emotions, whether it's through explicit faith or subconscious auto-suggestion, or maybe even the subtle influence on our biology. The quality and the consistency of your thoughts and feelings seem to be the absolute core ingredient in shaping the reality you experience. It's not just, philosophical head-scratching. It's really a powerful call to be intentional, to take action with your inner world every single moment.
So the big question we leave you with is this: what kind of world, and maybe more importantly, what kind of self are you vibrating into existence right now with every single thought you entertain?